Hello everyone, this is Lunch with Laura. I am Laura Lee Calais from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I have been with Stampin' Up! Since 2004. That's a little over 20 years. I wanted to share something with you today that is really cute. And I meant to pull up my pictures, but I forgot and I don't want to waste time looking for them. This stamp set we're using today is, we're making this card. Isn't that adorable? Let me show you a little closer. Go nuts, it's your birthday. Well, the stamp set is called Fluffy Squirrel. And let me tell you about, we have squirrels around our oak trees here at the house. And there are two that have just laughed us silly and kept us rolling. One is called Stretch. Yeah, he's brown and he has a white breast. And I have my bird feeder hanging on one of those wrought iron hooks. So he crawls up, hooks his back feet on the bird feeder, and Lee stretches over to get his bird seed. Okay, then we have Curl. Curl is really hysterical. Curl gets up the pole, goes over to the bird seed, gets what he wants to eat, then he does a back bend, holding on with his little back legs, and he eats upside down. Once he's through, he curls back up and repeats. So those are, I haven't named any of the other ones, but those two are really outstanding. And you're going to see what a fun, cute set this really is. And I think that these little squirrels, you could make any cards you want, all occasion cards, not a sympathy card, but any other card, and this would be great for children. I'm going to make some birthday cards. I'm late with my September cards as usual. And then I'm going to put a Thanksgiving saying or a blessings up here and change it to a Thanksgiving or fall card, because I always send them to friends and family. So let me show you what goes with this. It doesn't have dies, but it does have a punch. And the punch has an acorn. So we're going to be using that today. And we're going to be using the little saying that says, go nuts, it's your birthday. Now, these are two-step stamping, which means you're going to stamp one or the other of these and then stamp the opposite one. Sometimes I'll go ahead and stamp the outline, but this time I decided to stamp the solid part first and then the outline. There's a little tree trunk down here we're going to be using, an acorn, and a present. And this says, may you gather happiness. Can't wait to see you again. Now that might be good for Thanksgiving. I may use that. Okay, let's look at our card and see what colors we have used. The colors I'm using now, I have to say this, I don't have a current DSP set of designer series paper that's current, so I am using my retired scraps. Good way to use them. And what we have here is, you have a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of Cajun Craze, and I'm going to score that at 5 1/2 and use my bone folder to make it lay down. Next, we have a layer of Early Espresso, and on top of the Early Espresso, I'm going to arrange 3 little pieces of designer paper. Now the good thing about our paper is that you can turn it over and use, I might choose to do this or this, or make them all different. Oops. Maybe put the stripe in the middle. So there's a lot of things you can do with the papers. And I cut these so that it is just an eighth of an inch and an eighth of an inch between each little strip. I will put all the instructions and cutting things down at the bottom when we get through. You're going to need a piece of pool party, and then you're going to need a piece of very vanilla. Now that's what your stamping is going to go on. I went ahead and cut these out. I am using the deckled rectangles. You can use any dies that you have, or you can just leave them cut at about this size and use that and just be straight edges. You have a card, very vanilla, to go on the inside. And then this little scrap is going to be this is the squirrel that matches the punch and the little acorn. So that'll be used with this. So I'm also using my blends. We've got Cajun Craze, Light and Dark, Mossy Meadow, and Pecan Pie. And the ink colors I'm going to be using are Early Espresso and Crumb Cake. And then, if y'all will mind me, I've got wiggly eyes to go on the squirrel. I always forget that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and that way we can get part of this out of the way. How many of y'all do that? It's blank on both sides, but I always turn it over. I guess it's just habit. So I hope y'all are having a great week. It's starting to get some cooler weather. Ours is kind of off and on, which is very typical of where I live in Baton Rouge. So I think, let's see. They're different or not. These two are the same. Let me see what that looks like. Now, this paper is directional, so you don't want your little plants to be standing on their heads, okay? So you need to always pay attention to that, and it makes a difference in how you cut your paper. Could do that? Nah, I think I'm going to go back with this. Come on. And I'm just going to put come back here, a couple of strips of the seal tape on that. Okay, then I'm going to I like to do the last one on each side and put them down first, because then you can center the middle one. So I'm going to put that right there. And I like that striped paper, so we're going to use it. Now I left just enough. Go right between. Okay, so now we have that. And I'm going to set this up here. Remind me where I put it, okay? Oh, we can also, no, I want to stamp that first. Never mind. Okay. I'm going to take my little squirrel. Now let's see which one this is. Okay, this one, and this one go with, let's see, is that right? Yeah, go with punch. I always have to make sure I've got it right. I'm left-handed, so I'm a little challenged here. If there are any lefties out there. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my stamps. My ink pads. Okay, I am going, like I said, I ended up stamping the solid part first. And that's not what I'm doing. Here's the solid part. Try it either way. I just, for some reason, found it a little bit easier. Get it inked up real good. Okay. Now I'm going to do, so this was in crumb cake, and now I'm going to use early espresso for the outline. And I'm using his feet and his ears as a guide. And like I said, you may find it easier to do it the other way. Doesn't really matter. But that came out pretty good. Now, before I punch him out, let me show you about the squirrel. If you will stamp the acorn, I mean not the squirrel, the acorn, stamp it down in the lower right corner of your paper, then, and I'm going to do it in the early espresso, then when you go to punch it out, and if you don't have enough room, go ahead and punch the acorn first. Okay. Line that up. And then you can do your squirrel. Okay, let's see. I think that's close. Okay, that turned out good. Now, if you're ever using a piece of paper that like fits inside here and there's no place to hold on, this is a good tip to remember. To use a sticky note and make it like a little handle, so that if you were punching way up here or wherever, then you can use that to hold on to while you punch. That's just a little tip there. Okay, so we have here, nope. Uh-oh, now tell me our, looks like our little egg, oh no, here it is. I thought it had escaped. Well, that's not it. Okay, let's stamp it again. This time I'll show you what I mean. So you have to look at your paper and decide, because sometimes if you punch it, if you've got two things punched and you're centering the big one, you may be cutting off the little one, if that makes sense to you. Okay, let's do this again. Oh, I found him. Look, he's right there. Well, shoot, we'll do two acorns. Maybe put one on the inside. Okay, so now we have two acorns. And we're through with this. And if you don't, have y'all all used our punches? These are called lockdown punches. And the great thing is they show the picture here and also here. And when you go to close them, you squeeze it and move that little tab. Same thing when you go to open it, you squeeze it and move that tab. I usually do it from this side and it opens up. Now, to store them, these are why this is why these are so awesome. You can stack your punches, what is that, vertically? You can do them horizontally. And then you can see what it is, or you can even stand them up. So, Those are awesome. Okay, next we're going to stamp our other little squirrel. So we have our little guy here and our little acorn, and I'm going to stamp the stump right down here at the bottom, and that's an early espresso. Then I wanted to go ahead and put the greeting up at the top right so that you know where to center everything else. And I did it in the crumb cake, but it's your preference. But you do need to have it right side up, okay? I was about to stamp it upside down. And if you will, when you go to put your sentiments on, if you can get them as straight as you can on the block, that seems to help me a lot. And I'm going to go right up here at the top. Okay, perfect. Okay, next, so this little guy's going to go here with his acorn, but I need to color that first. So then we're going to do our other little squirrel, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the solid body in the crumb cake, and he may even go off the page if it's a little, if your greeting is a little too high, but that turned out great. Ooh, I love it when my stamping, when I'm on TV and it comes out perfect. Of course, you know it comes out perfect every time I stamp, right? Yeah. Okay, now I'm using his ears and his feet. Okay, came out good. Now, I'm going to color my little acorn, and I'm going to use the light Mossy Meadow, and color it there, and use the pecan pie. Pecan pie for the little crown. Oops. Oh, and they even have, I didn't use it, but they even have a little, you see this little thatch stamp? You could stamp that and then stamp the top of the acorn up there, and then when you punch it, it's going to have that on it. Or you could do it later. Okay, now, so we got this guy. I'm going to color in the little stump here. And you can do this fairly quickly. I like to outline first, just like we were taught in kindergarten and what I taught. I was a kindergarten teacher for over 20 years. Now, I'm going to pop him up with dimensionals, and I'm going to use 3 of the big ones. So we've got the regular dimensionals, and then we've got mini dimensionals. And I like to use my Take Your Pick tool to get that out. I'm going to put that right, and look, it just fits right there on the acorn. Okay, so let's put him, in fact, what I'm going to do first is go ahead and put my adhesive on. This one's getting close to the end. I'm going to put it on my pool party. And then I'll put this on, and then I'm going to pop up this little piece here. Okay, so he's sitting right on there. And it's okay if his tail goes off. See how it's off the page? It's perfectly all right to do. And then I'm going to put his little acorn like he's holding it. And since it's a birthday card, we need to stamp a little birthday present right here. Okay, so again I'm using let's see. Yeah, we'll use the early espresso. And because these are see-through photopolymer stamps, I can position it right where I want it. Next, I did Cajun Craze. I did light. Now, I don't know if you've used our blends, but they're great. They come in light and dark for almost every color. There are a few colors that we don't have blends for, but there is a thin line here which shows the bullet point. And then this one shows, I don't know what it's called, the fat point that colors in a wider area. Well, I'm going to use the bullet since this is kind of tiny, and I'm coloring in the present. Now I'm going to go back with the dark Cajun Craze and color the bow. Just gives a little definition. And so I don't forget, let me go ahead and put the wiggly eyes on. Now I'm going to use the sticky end of my, I'm going to get out too, of my take your pick tool, so I won't be digging in there. And oops, I'm using that, so let's put it right there. Now I'm going to put just a dab of glue right there. Boy, that was almost a mistake. You don't want that to happen. Be real careful when you open these. But I'm just putting a dab of glue there. And then we're going to put one eye there. Oops. There. And, oh, I have these in all shapes. I mean, not shapes, but all sizes. Now, where'd you go? Did I drop you? I'm stamping in the dark because of the reflection that it cast. Okay. Okay, well, lost that one. We'll grab another one. Put it right there. Okay, yay. I didn't forget them this time. We're not quite through with this, so I'm going to leave those open, which is against the rules. You should always close up your ink pads. Next, I'm going to put some dimensionals on here. 1, 2, 3. I think 4 is enough. If you want to put one in the middle to pop it up in the middle, that's fine too. A lot of people use more dimensionals than I do, but I just find it's overkill. And now we want to make sure, oops, look what I did. See, I wasn't paying attention. This is the only one that matters, and it's going upside down, so just don't tell anybody. After all that about the directional, and then I do that. Oh, crazy. Oh, here's that other. Why are you there? I'll put him back. He evidently, he's slid off there when I put it on here. Okay, the outside of our card is finished. Now let's look what I did on the inside. I just put some little dancing acorns right there. So we have one that is going to be, we're going to pop this little guy up since I punched him out. And I'm going to stamp, well, let's stamp the little trunk, the little stump first. Okay, now I'm going to come back with the acorns. One there, and then we'll have the one in the middle. Okay. And I've lost that one again. Here it is. I do think they're dancing around. Quickly, I'm going to color the stump. And there's a little coloring with this, or you don't have to color at all. But I'm more into doing a little bit of coloring. Some people like to get the sets that you have to color the whole thing, which is fine. I'm just prefer not coloring all that much. I don't know why. You would think being in kindergarten would have left me wanting to color all the time. Okay. So here's this little guy, and this little guy, and this one. I think I just put up well, shoot, I just put up my envelope. I was going to show you about that. All right, let's get a dimensional for this one. We'll put it right there. Okay. Now, a word of caution when using your blends. They bleed through. So you always want to do the blends on a layer. And let me see if I've got here's an envelope. Okay, so if you wanted to put like an acorn on the front of the envelope, if you do it without putting some protection there, it's going to bleed through. So what I'm going to do is take my scrap and place it down inside the envelope, like so. And then I'm going to take my acorn, color it, and now you've decorated your envelope. Now you could always put acorns on the flap. I'm not going to take the time to do that. But now let me pull my little scrap out. And as you can see, oops, okay, here's your little acorn. And it didn't even, yeah, it did. It bled through just slightly here. So it would have come through on the other side if I hadn't had that in there. So whenever you want to do your envelope and you're working with blends, remember it needs to be a layer or put a piece of paper in here to protect the other side. Okay? So I'm going to put this on the inside and call it a day. And let me see what you have been doing with this step. And if you don't have it, it is in the mini catalog, which I left in the other room. And now you have your envelope and your card. And isn't that adorable? So that's going to be cute for a fall card. Like I said, you could put Happy Thanksgiving up there, and that would be that. And I am finishing on time today. So I am going to say au revoir. Have a great, turn that out, have a great rest of your, well, the weekend starts in my opinion today, so have a great weekend. And I will be at a crop next week, so I will see you the following week with some more tips and techniques at Lunch with Laura. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this and like it at the bottom, if you would. And I'll see you next week. Love y'all.